Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Today we have a viewer requested video looking at the Grainshed property, but more so a bit more north where those tanks are at, slash the odd one was at, right? Suggested by an individual who want to start a discussion about the trenches where things were dug up to do with the initial Dylan Rounds search. No harm in doing that, I guess. See if we can get a better understanding by the end of this video. I've looked at areas within the Dylan Rounds case, not so much in this spot. So I'm sure there'll be at least someone in the chat or later on in the video that may have an answer or be able to clear some things up. Okay, that's what it's all about. Clear up any confusion, add extra important information along the way, right? And we've also got some photos as well. Also, this individual has, it's kind of like, it's Google Earth satellite imagery, but at a better quality, better standard. I believe it's not an app, but downloaded maps. So it's more up to date or something. But, they're doing what they're using, and it can come in handy at times, I guess. But yeah, just like discussion video today. Of course, in the live chat, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions and reactions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Can briefly look back at the last comments, the previous video covering Dylan Rounds. The last one being a couple of days ago, which was analysing Candice Cooley's update within the Dylan Rounds case. Of course, a range of people that were disappointed with what she had to say. 2 steps backwards, maybe. A few contradictions, possibly. But, it gave like a bit of an idea of where things are at, if you want to word it like that. Has been a major shift in progress? Not really. But if the main thing is finding Dylan, and that's kind of like the only thing that needs to be found, then you're not going to get like lots of new leads, I don't think. The only other item that's missing and has been talked about loosely is Dylan's wallet. Still not been found, but I just feel like it'll probably be on Dylan, right? Kind of like with his clothing too. So obviously we'll see what happens down the line, but yes, it's gone significantly quiet in recent time, but you can't complain in a way, because for over 9 months there's been a fair bit of talk, in general on YouTube and maybe elsewhere in between. Not seen any news articles. I looked on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page, nothing there whatsoever. Not even any questions or afterthoughts regarding the last interview update by Candice. Not even a post by her advertising Doug's channel saying, look, this is where the latest interview is. Kind of interesting, because that normally used to happen. But yeah, so let's just get into the comments right now. See if there's any questions that need to be answered, any additional information, anything interesting, and go from there, okay? What I'll do first is just arrange the comments. We've got Weedleby, darn, I missed it. I'll try to watch it next time. Cleo, fell asleep watching now. Q Warlike Ref, you're welcome. Jacqueline, Candice is always contradictory and making up lies. I don't trust her. Is she always making up lies? Not always. Is she always making contradictions. Not always, but enough to say she does make contradictions and it hasn't changed or got better. What was the last lie or bit of inaccuracy she stated? I can't remember, honestly. I mean, I remember the time about the Montello sales, 500% sale boost, which turned out to be not true. No one convicted of certain crimes against younger people within Lucin or Montello, which turned out to not be true. So yeah, I remember those inaccuracies, but I don't know if anything else has followed since. I think there might have been a time where Lance Kelly did a video titled "All Candice Cooley Does Is Lie," and then he just did a talk about it. I think someone might have left a comment once on one of my past videos bullet pointing every single mistake made by Candice Cooley. It just reminded me when I looked at this comment. Jacqueline also says, Lance mentioned the dog. They are getting one from someone else. He did mention the name of the guy and he is looking for a dog for him. It was in his last video. Okay, so a little bit of an update there, I guess. Indiana says, sounds to me Lance has been turned down for a cadaver dog from a reputable company and is using any other means in which to get one. On the cheap, no doubt. Maybe Lance should ask Candice if she is willing to sell hers. In a joking way. I mean, that really did turn out to be the case, that they managed to get a dog, but not through the normal sources. The training could be limited, the dog itself could be limited, and on the surface, it could be in the eyes of other people, not what I'm saying, but what other people are saying, could be interpreted as another scam, a sham, that yes, there's a dog present by his side, supposedly a cadaver one. And you do a backstory. Oh, it was secondhand. It was from elsewhere, not official. Oh, it didn't really receive much training. So they look the part, but are they the part? Probably not. So that's what some people could argue, right? It starts going backwards, downhill. What else do we have? Caroline Middleton, thank you for covering the No Thanks video. I now don't need to go and watch it. Another great video from you and good conversations going on in the chat. You're welcome. As for the chat last night, kind of different, I guess. Massive wave of new people. Understandable if originals or regular viewers are dissatisfied. I understand. I guess it's just that wave at the moment. But maybe down the line, things ease, possibly. We'll just see how things go, okay? But obviously, it's good for people to be patient, the ones who are. Indiana, twas a good night. Do you mean twat? I don't know. Indiana, I feel sorry for Candice. Her hands are tied. She has tried to take the lead. We are the ones in control here. Just to have LE say we are leading this case, not you. From this she has had to learn the hard way. You don't only lose a son once, but twice. As even in death, she has no control over Dylan. Dylan was 19, and as an adult, whatever information LE has on him is theirs and theirs alone. It was LE's decision to release the information of the photo with Brenner having blood on his arms and shirt. What? Along with Dylan, that DNA from the shirt is Dylan's. Just how long had they been sitting on that information before releasing it? Who knows? But that was under their control, not Candice's. She, along with the rest of us, will just have to bide us time. For all we know, Dylan's body may have already been found, and there could be reasons as to why this has been withheld. Was anyone expecting that photo? Hell no. So what is going to be the next surprise in Dylan Brown's case? No idea. All I know, Candice has had a chance to make a deal with Brenner and chose not to. Not every mother's choice, I'd say, but hey. So, Indiana, what are you talking about with Brenner having blood on his arms and shirt? Where you say Ellie's decision to release information of the photo with Brenner. Well, was it a photo? Was it? I thought it was it was a 27-second video, a 27-second video, okay, from Dylan's phone at 7:27 a.m. at the Grangehead property in Brenner's trailer, as Brenner's, I guess, sat down, cleaning his gun, blood on his sleeves, shirt, and Justin added extra details by saying Brenner also washed his hands as well off blood, okay? So, as for the wording, they released a photo, they haven't, unless you've secretly seen the photo. From my knowledge, there are no photos released publicly of Brenner, okay, in his trailer cleaning a gun with blood on it. But the information about obtaining video footage when the LE did a deep forensic digital dive analysis, they were able to retrieve it, but they've not released it public, okay? What else? Meanwhile, LE are keeping silent and we are left waiting for the next explosion in Dylan Brown's case. And as Rafi would say, everything is under control. Patrick, looks like a new viewer, welcome, says, I think Candice Cooley is making a huge mistake in opposing a plea deal for Jim Brenner because she wants him sentenced to death, even though that's not going to happen now. No matter how conclusive the evidence is in a case, it's never 100% certain that a defendant will be convicted of the crime. Important evidence could be ruled inadmissible. Prosecutors are human and they make mistakes on occasions. A blunder by a prosecutor could lead to a defendant being found not guilty. A quirky ruling by a judge could create an impossible burden for the prosecutors. The odds of Jim Brenner being found not guilty may be less than 1%, but they're not zero, okay? If Brenner will identify the location of Dylan Round's remains in exchange for a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole, Dylan Round's family should not oppose such a plea bargain. Yeah. Even if Jim Brenner is convicted as expected, there is no evidence the murder was premeditated. Just because Brenner is eligible for the death penalty doesn't mean he will be sentenced to the death penalty. Well, the way it's been worded recently by some is, and with Candice Cooley constantly referring back to it, it wasn't premeditated, it was a snap moment, Brenner snapped, right? And, some viewers have said because of that, the court acknowledging it too, it wasn't planned, so no death penalty for Brenner. And Candice Cooley confirmed that in that recent interview, that there's no death penalty put on Brenner. She doesn't know why herself, but she knows that there's no death penalty. No more. Okay? Candice Cooley believes many things. She believes Dylan's body would have been located days after his disappearance if Box Elder County Sheriff's Office had brought in tracking dogs, in spite of the facts that the desert terrain is not ideal for tracking dogs, that there had been a very heavy rain the day of Round's disappearance. Tracking dogs would also not have been able to track Dylan's scent any further if his body had been loaded into a vehicle. She believes ground-penetrating radar can be used to search using drones, even though the heavy clay soil typical in the area limits how far ground-penetrating radar can see underground, and it's not clear if ground-penetrating radar can be effective if delivered by drones. She believed Dylan's body could be found in a wash because someone said if they had a body they wanted to dispose of, they'd throw it in a wash. Well, that's what Brenner said in the past, and I think it might have been Bibbins or some other locals or Kurt that heard it mentioned by Brenner and then passed it on, and it passed on through YouTube. Okay. Is there a comparison to that? Well, yeah, there is. With Brenner in the past supposedly saying, if I ever killed anyone, I dispose of them in a wash, is similar to Susan Powell's husband in the past around a dinner table, joking around to people saying, if I ever killed anyone, I'd dump them in a mine shaft in the middle of the desert. And of course, he turned out to be the one likely responsible for Susan's disappearance and presumed death, right? And in this case with Brenner, okay? Evidence linking him with the death and disappearance of Dylan, with the desecration charges too. I think the only bit that doesn't reinforce it though is, aside from people saying they would do that, aside from people saying if they do this, that's the location where they would take the person, there's no correlation with being successful in being able to locate someone like Susan Powell, even present day. If someone was able to locate Susan Powell and it turned out to be in a mine shaft, then it could strengthen and reinforce the possibilities, like with Brenner saying a wash, that's where it's at. Now, you put aside the claim here on this comment, Candice Cooley believing in that. Was there any other evidence to suggest a wash? Well, the track marks, okay? That's really the only other thing. Track marks and what Brenner said in the past about disposing of someone, giving a location like a wash. But of course, Candice Cooley said 15 washes. I think Ty Corbin said about 2 big washes, right? So I know Indiana also said it's just going to take too long if it is a wash. Yeah, I understand. It kind of narrows it down though. Like, sure, a wash can cover quite a few miles. That's not great, is it? But it just seems to pinpoint it down. If it really was the case, like if you was able to concentrate and be confident in a particular singular wash and you just start searching for it all the way down, yes, it obviously takes time, but just a level of concentration and focus instead of trawling, whatever the word you call it, across just vast open desert where it feels more hopeless, right? You can pinpoint a spot or a type of terrain you're in. It just feels a little bit more controlled, in my opinion, at least. What else do we have here? So Candice believes the family will find Dylan's remains without Brenner's help, in spite of miles of open desert and hundreds, if not thousands, of abandoned mines in the area, many of them unsafe to search. Even if the Rounds family gets to see him, Brenner, sentenced to death, they're betting on their ability to find a needle in a haystack. Both Justin Rounds and Candice Cooley have stated that they won't be able to finish grieving their loss until Dylan's body is found and given a proper burial. If that's what they need in order to move on after the tragic loss of their son, they should forgo the death penalty to ensure they get what's most important to them. As said, the death penalty has been taken off the tables, okay? No longer there. My question is to people watching, can the death penalty be put back on under other circumstances or not? Is it finalised? Let me know. Badger Life. Ellie would be out searching if they believed the body could be found. Just saying. Just saying. Sound like Bellevue then. Okay. Yeah. Ellie out there as well. Standard procedure, right? If the family are out there looking about in a particular area, you want to tick a spot off the list or a couple, it's always best to have some form of authority present just in case something important is found, to be able to document it, witness it themselves, and maybe call in backup if necessary. Is that for the comments? Yeah, okay, fair enough. What we'll do now is transition on to this viewer requested focus, the Grangeshed property, okay? So here we are. We are a bit enlarged, zoomed in, but I thought it's just for the best. You can zoom on out, but after last time's performance with that website, it's not worth risking. Just cut out the odd part out of respect for privacy of the individual. Just read out what they are talking about, okay? And as we do go along, if you want to add your own points, make any corrections, feel free to do so, okay? I'm just basically reading this out, right? I'm not like 100% analysing at this moment unless necessary, okay? So the initial part of this comment was about during the initial official search by Search and Rescue and the K9 unit, search team more than likely got a hit on something in the trench. The tumbleweeds pretty much had both trenches along there filled up. Pic below is water D high res from the 6/2021 showing weeds in both trenches. Weeds and okay, there we go. So this image, what we've got here on screen is from 2021, so before Dylan went missing. This is a little bit north, just further up the road of the grain shed property, okay? You won't be able to see, but if you carried on following the road downwards south, you'd get to the grain shed, and just a bit before that, you would get the backhoe, okay? This is just a snapshot of the upper end, the grain shed property, where those trailers, tanks are at, okay? Hopefully you can see. Now, this one here, I believe that's the one that ended up at Dylan's farm. I could be getting mixed up, but at least one of the tanks within this area was moved down to Dylan's farm. So, really, this photo, what's being referred to is the trenches. You might wonder, what are the trenches? Well, you kind of know what trenches are, right? Kind of like warfare. You think of that. Like a narrow passageway, which has a bit of depth going into the ground because it's been dug out. Whether it be maybe naturally, possibly, but more manually by an individual or equipment, okay? And you can see it there. You see those lines? That's what is being referred to as the trenches, okay? And you see a tank nearby. And within that trench seems to be filled in with weeds, vegetation, right? So this is pre-existing from the looks of it, okay? Was this done as a means of drainage? Are we looking at drains right now? Seems to be the case. So we've got a couple of drainage areas from the looks of it with the tank too. Just zoom on out. There we go. Sometimes it's hard to operate this. So that was the pic below showing the weeds in both trenches, undisturbed, right? Think of the dirt mound when Candy's Cooler was talking about whether there's weeds or not, and you'd know if they've been searched. Let's continue. This person goes on to say, Chris from Mob Crew had his drone in the area on August 27th, 2022, over the shed. August 27th, 2022, before the winter came in, the snow. So I assume this is in relation to do with the big push before winter time where Candice Cooley, Justin, K9 Unit, Texas Equisearch and Mob Crew Chris were out there going to the Wash area. Okay. Saying it was really windy that day. He put out a long video on it and a short video on it. The long one wasn't a high resolution production. The short of it was much better in quality. There are dust devils in this image below. Plus you can see the weeds in the trench to the right, west, farther from the road. You can also see the dirt piles where they dug in the trench. You can also see the dirt piles where they dug into the trench, right. So basically, the way we're looking now is south of the grain shed, okay? Just as a quick reference point. Actually, if this was 27th of August, 2022, where's the backhoe? That's weird. That's weird because I'm very sure and certain that before the 27th of August 2022, months before that, when Salty Pancakes went down, when Glorindellen went down, Kurt Wadsworth, etc., the backhoe was there parked up on the side, round about there, centre of the screen. but there's no backhoe. Now, take in mind, from this supposed shot, 27th of August 2022, at least from my knowledge, there hasn't been any newish satellite imagery. Though that would be a lie, because that 2023 Bing map imagery depicted the backhoe parked up on the side. Though that makes me question the reliability of Bing maps when we were looking at Brenner's burnt down trailer, it just wasn't there. You remember? I know some people saying it was blurred out, but it's starting to make me think that that 2023 Bing Maps is lying to us. Like, if this is 2022, August time, no backhoe, yet months beforehand the backhoe was here. Fast forward to 2023, Bing Maps doesn't show the backhoe. I can't imagine it being taken away. Not seen anyone there since. I've not seen any boots on ground footage there since, besides JLR going up to the gate. So why not ask? You know, is the backhoe still where it is, or has it been moved since? Can anyone confirm? Because I'm just a little bit confused as to why there is no backhoe near the Grainshed property here when it's after Dylan's disappearance, kind of approaching the end of the year of 2022. And I just don't see it. Unless I'm blind, I genuinely can't see the backhoe. That's really weird. Down that long road, eventually you do get to Sun Tunnels, just so you know, down that long road, and that's where the gate is, down there where JLR was. He was down there and looking up north where you could see the shed, and that in the middle of the screen, hard to see that motorhome of Ed Harshberger's. Okay. So this has actually made me question more than anticipated. Okay. Originally, this was just supposed to be talking about the trenches, as you see there, right? And the tank. And yet it's opened up another question. Where the hell has the backhoe gone? You know, either this drone footage is in the very early days before Kurt brought the backhoe from Dylan's farm onto the Grainshed property, or it's after that and the backhoe has been moved ever since. It's got to be one or the other, right? Maybe a misunderstanding, the wrong photo used, or there's been activity since. We can't rely or refer back to the 2023 Bing map imagery because that's already lied to us before. So I don't want to take any more chances with that. It was bad enough with Brenner's trailer. And once again, I'll just reiterate it. We've looked at Brenner's burnt down trailer, boots on ground footage. It's the best form of material, right? It's real time. It's there at the moment and you can visually see it on ground level. You refer to the maps, the satellite imagery, and it says 2023. And there is no trailer whatsoever. Nothing has been blurred. It's just disappeared. What are you supposed to think, right? It's been moved. And then you refer back to JLR's most recent footage out in that area, boots on ground, and it's still there, the trailer. So at the end of the day, Bing Maps was lying to us. If it was lying to us with that area, it could be lying to us with the Grainshed property area, because there's a big contrast from that to what we see on screen. No backhoe. I think we need to get some discussions going. Does anyone know what's happened with the backhoe, which originally was at Dylan's farm? Kurt's backhoe ended up taking it to the Grainshed property, which is here, and parking it up there on the side, the road, because the owner at the time requested for it to be brought down. But where's it gone now? What the hell's happened? This is weird. Kind of weird. Whoa, we're zooming out. Let's just refer back to this, though, the caption of the photo, to see what the person was actually talking about. Okay. There are dust devils in the image below. Plus, you can see the weeds in the trench to the right, west, further from the road. You can also see the dirt piles where they dug in the trench. Right. Do those trenches look any deeper than before? Can't quite comment on that. Can you see the weeds in them? Hard to tell because it is a bit blurry. If there's no weeds, then obviously it's been disturbed. We have seen the mounds on the side, but I don't know when that originated from, to be fair. But it seems to cover a bit of distance. It's very blurry, but not much I can do about it. It's hard to see the mounds. Oh no, it's these like lumpy bits. Okay, the lumps and the clumps basically next to the trench. Right, okay, I see. I believe they're the dust devils, sand devils, that white stuff, kind of like a tornado almost, but not quite. Okay. The only other change is that tank should be there, centered the screen. Like what you see in this photo. That is next to the trenches, and this is looking north on the Grainshed property. But you compare it to here, it's been rolled away. Should be there. It makes sense why it's been moved, you know, away, because if they've been searching originally, checking that zone, that area out, the trenches, maybe digging a little bit more, turning over the soil, just checking. That tank may be an obstruction for like vehicles and access routes. You saw it with Lucin Pond, right? They had to chop down trees to get, I guess, a backhoe or excavator in. So I guess the same's happened here. But it could have gone around the back, to be honest. Maybe. You can see how some items have moved about, right? Just make sure we're zoomed out. I believe over that way is the border. You're encroaching onto Montello, Nevada. Let's carry on. What's this one? Closer look at the trenches. Okay, so this is at a slightly different angle. Tiny little bit clearer. Yeah, you can see those mounds on the sides near to the trench. So there has been a bit like further digging. Now, why was that a key spot? Is it because you see a trench and you think, oh, that must be where Dylan's at? But what happens if there is another trench or one done on the spot elsewhere and then filled in? Because if those trenches have always been there, right, then the only time when there would be difference is if someone was buried there and it was filled in, maybe. I don't know. It's just because, like, it looks like an open grave, in my opinion. Though it's always been there, the trench, maybe drainage. But why would you put a person in there and not fill it in? You know what I'm saying? Or is it one of those things where, because the area looks so obvious that you wouldn't expect people to go there and search? Well, they did. But they didn't find anything, I don't believe. But, unless there's secretive stuff going on. Wait, hold on. Is that the backhoe? You see what I mean? It's very pixelated. I think that could be the backhoe. It's impossible to see from that angle. But I can see the backhoe now. It's centered the screen. It's very hard to see, but yeah, the backhoe is still there. Okay? Of course, I'm not going to title it in this video, "Where has the backhoe gone?" We're not going to cause unnecessary confusion there. Thankfully, I was able to debunk it on the spot. So I'll just say very quickly, if anyone is joining this video or returning back, the backhoe as of the 27th of August 2022 is still remaining on the Grainshed property. Okay? Let's move on. Closer. Okay, so this is even closer. Right. So when looking there, can't really see any weeds. It just literally looks like turned over soil, dirt, but filled in. Now, why would you fill it in? What's the point of that? If in 2021 it was an open trench which had a bit of depth to it, why in 2022 do you need to fill it in? What's the whole point of that? Though this stretch is a lot deeper and hasn't been filled in. Drops down, you can see the darkness, the depth to it. Interesting. Let me know your thoughts. Does it change your opinion on anything? Does it make you question anything at all? Let me know. If you want to clear anything up yourself, feel free to do so. Okay. I know, let's just refer back to one thing. In the past, and I can't remember how long ago it was, whether it be before 2022 or just after Dylan's disappearance in 2022, it coincided with the backhoe being brought back to the Grangeshed property from Dylan's farm because the owner at the time, the original owner, wanted work to be done around the perimeter of the Grangeshed property. The Grangeshed property, Grangeshed down there, and around the Grangeshed, there's like trenches around it there as well. Was the trenches used for drainage so it doesn't flood, so water can run off and go into it? Can anyone confirm? Because the trenches were done there, then I guess it applies here as well. But I guess it took an interest by the police, by the search and rescue teams at the time. Let's move on. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, again, closer look. Yeah, you can see the trenches. Fairly clear, to be honest. It's definitely filled in there, as you can see. A little bit of depth there. You can see the ridge shadowing. Very deep there. Comes around this bit, and it's kind of like an open hole at that point. It's definitely been checked for sure. Fair portion, fair size. I mean, if you looked at it quick, you could think, oh, is it a wash? It's not. Maybe it could turn into one, but more man-made. See a bit more of like trenches there going further down to the Grangeshed property, but that's filled in with vegetation and weeds. So it looks like that's been, untouched. Okay. Just zoom on out. Keeps flicking about. I don't like this. See, this is what I've got to work with. That's why I don't like using this aspect ratio. Anyway. LEO. Who's LEO? Or Leo? What do you mean? LE had to have spent several days working this trench, yet we haven't heard anything about it or if they found anything in it. I wonder if they have even told Candice Cooley and Justin Rounds what, if anything, they found in it. Is this pic below? You can see how LEO backhoe dug at a slight angle into the original trench. What we're looking at. Look at the track marks going into that spot there. I mean, to be honest, the shape of that looks more like a knob if you rotate the image. Fair depth. Oh, you got some vegetation there. I mean, you probably could walk down it as well. That might be the beginning part where it dips down. Is that Tom? Oh no, it's not the Tom. Okay. Decent quality. Dug at a slight angle. Is it? Okay. Here is a ground view of the dirt piles. Kurt's trip from 20th of August. Oh yeah. Hold on. Wait, are we... Yeah, I think we are, aren't we? Was it? No, was it August? No, it can't be. I'm just trying to think. This can't be the Glorindelen one, can it? With Kurt. No, it can't be. Or can it? Oh. No. No. Anyway, let's just read. Kurt's trip from 20th of August. Salty took a video on the way up to the shed. He didn't have a clue that the trench had been dug out. Chris on his vid only briefly mentions what looks like digging there. Yeah, I'm sure the last time Kurt and Pancakes went out there, they went out there by themselves. So I mean, obviously you get it from different points of views, but they're uploaded different dates. It's hard to tell, did they all go at once or did they go multiple times? Yeah, I think I remember this. Yeah. But is this the one from Glorindellen's point of view as well, or did that happen months beforehand? Oh, I don't know. Obviously, you got all those mounds, quite a few of them, right? So you saying that all those mounds have come from that trench? Can that be confirmed? Looks like it. But then again, it looks like more dirt than trench. It says, red line, of course, is where Elio dug in the trench. The green line in there is along that piece of metal. That is a 3 foot wide by 12 foot long piece of corrugated metal roofing that has been blown over from the shed area. It is resting on the slope of a dirt pile. This gives a person's size perspective. Keep in mind the original trench was probably dug with a 3 foot wide bucket a long time ago. Over time it loses its nice shape, edges, and looks weather worn and rough on the exposed edges like it does now. Right, so what was that green line thing? The green line in there is along that piece of metal, corrugated metal roofing that has blown off over the grain shed area. What, is that from the grain shed? Because I've not seen any holes. Well, big holes. That's the corrugated thing, whatever that is. Okay. Here is a closer look at Chris's short vid with higher resolution. That roofing is clearer in this image. It looks like a couple of weeds have blown back into the trench already. The red arrow is pointing at a 4-inch diameter sewer pipe that is sticking up out of the trench. This is another object that I've used for size reference. Okay. Are you saying that's the sewer pipe? What, that line going across, or where that little black hole is, one or the other? Is this all to do with drainage, and it was done way back in the past, and then when Dylan went missing, police come down, search and rescue, and think, oh, we've got sewage, we've got drainage, maybe Dylan's in the drains, so we've got to dig it up and stuff. Looks like it. I mean, you know, you got desert area, of course, most of it's quite flat. You've got buildings nearby, you've got vehicles too. You know, first you've got to make the ground compact, right? Because that's what they did. I think they might have used a roller back in the past before Dylan went missing, just to make things easier, to be able to get vehicles through without them getting stuck in the mud, sinking. So make the ground compact, but then where does the water have to run off the surface? You need some kind of drainage. So you do that nearby. Yeah, I get that. And, you know, the grain shed itself, the amount of holes within it, I'm not surprised that you've got the perimeter around it, which drops down to allow water to run off, because even inside of the grain shed, there's holes so water could get in. And even the lower structure of the grain shed, there's gaps, I guess, to allow water to pass underneath. Then again, you probably get rats and mice popping into the grain shed. Now, I'm not talking about Graham or Dale, but, you know, they may take a visit down there. Okay, so that looks like that's it. Some links to Mob Crew Chris's videos, I guess, of the drone stuff. We can check that out maybe down the line, and you can go on Mob Crew Chris channel itself. So at least it gives a bit of a perspective of the trench area as well as the tanks, because we have talked about the tanks in the past. I'm also trying to understand where one of them at least went, which ended up being down at Dylan's farm. Why? I guess farming related stuff. Has it been searched inside? I'm not quite sure. I know people still refer back to these tanks, septic tanks. Dylan could be at one, in one. But I guess it all comes down to what areas, what environment, what terrain has the most clues, right? Or what areas have clues which could suggest Dylan is here or in a place similar to this. Like if remains or clothing, some kind of evidence was found near a septic tank, you could say, well, Dylan might be in one of them, right? And if he's not in that one, he could be in another. Though, like with the track marks being in the wash, and with Brenner in the past saying, "Oh, I'll take someone down to the wash if I had to." There's hints of that in that area. As for the dirt mound, that was a place of interest in the past, just simply because there was bits of evidence there. Dylan's boots, supposedly it was checked a few times and nothing was found there. Dylan's phone being at the pond area, another place of interest. Was Dylan rounds found there? No, just the phone. So you get a few dead ends, although you're getting this evidence which is crucial, just like with the phone especially, with the pond. And yet they were able to retrieve that 27-second video of Brenner in that trailer. That was very lucky. There's a lot of dead ends. Just because you find evidence in a certain spot doesn't mean to say that's where Dylan is at. It might just be a drop-off point where evidence was disposed of, right? Discarded. So just let me know your thoughts down below to that area we focused on today. Was it searched thoroughly? Does it need checking once again? I'm sure the full spectral drone in the past was flew over the area just to scan, take photos. Do you think yourself that the LE Search and Rescue may have found something in that spot, the trench, but never told Candice, Cooley or Justin? Never really heard Candice, Cooley or Justin talk about that area that much, if not at all, in the interviews I've watched. If you have, list it down below if you wish to. Okay. If not that area, just let me know in general where you're at, your thoughts in this case, and we'll just take it from there. If you do have any questions, list that down below as well. But yeah, time will tell. A few things are still in question, like Dylan's documentary was supposed to be coming out mid-April. Well, we're past that now, completely. No sign of the documentary. Can anyone confirm that it's out? Even part one? Has anyone watched it, or has it just not come out? Has it been delayed, pushed back? Wouldn't surprise me. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye and good night.